How's it going, everyone? Welcome to For the Record, a music review channel where I'm going to tell you a couple reasons you should listen to an album, a couple reasons maybe you want to skip over this one, a couple of the songs I have personally saved, and then I'm going to throw it back to you to make your own opinions. Music is entirely subjective, and nothing that I say here should dissuade you from checking out an artist or not. With all that out of the way, we're going to be talking about Dark Times, the new album from Vince Staples. And getting started with reasons this one is definitely worth a listen, the atmosphere on this guy is fantastic. It is a dark album, but with surprisingly inspiring lyrics at times. The whole album has sort of this yin and yang balance to it, where it's almost kind of a victory lap of sorts, while acknowledging the dark reality that we live in, specifically that Vince lives in and comes from. And while those are tough tones to balance on the same project, the authenticity of the writing here definitely does so very well. Vince's writing never really feels misproportionate. It is a victory lap, like I mentioned, but he never feels overly braggadocious because he clearly still knows his roots and has quite a bit of reverence for them. I would say the writing here is nihilistic, but not exactly pessimistic. It's not like nothing matters. I mean, it is. It's more like nothing matters because we're such a small piece to the much bigger puzzle, not because everything is pointless. It feels a lot like Vince is looking at his community and his upbringing through a pair of rose-colored glasses here. There's a lot of pride for where he comes from. Vince also does a great job of conveying a lot of nostalgia, being able to sort of look back from where he now stands. I also found it really unique. Some of the choruses on this thing are very anthemic, kind of sing-along choruses that I just don't see too many people in a similar lane as Vince doing, and I found it to be definitely one of the major high points of this record. And finally, I really have to commend the vulnerability that's on display here. Not only do you not typically see artists in the genre letting you peer behind the curtain quite this much, but especially ones that carry the persona that Vince has, being hardened from his reality and where he comes from. I found the level of vulnerability here to be impressive, to be honest. Throughout this record, Vince is talking about very real doubts and fears, the meaning of love, what happens when we die, heartbreak, and even a little bit of what I took to be kind of self-doubt or self-talk, which is, again, just unique to hear out of the genre. Now, as far as why you maybe want to skip over this album, it is very short. It's about 35 minutes in length. About 5 minutes of that is interludes, so you're really talking 30 minutes here, which could feel a little half-baked to some, and you may find that 30 minutes just isn't even worth your time. It also should be stated that this album isn't exactly full of bangers. There's definitely a good amount of groove to each track, it'll keep you bobbing your head, but due to some of the introspective and dark subject matter here, it's not exactly one I'm like rushing to put on my summer playlist by any means. And if you can't tell already, this section is really short because I'm stumped. This is a great piece of art. I highly recommend checking it out. In my opinion, the choruses are super refreshing to hear in the genre, and short isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some people could see that as digestible, even though it's such a dark album. Thematically, the fact that you only have to be surrounded by that darkness for 30 minutes is kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. Now, as far as songs that I've personally saved, I have to talk about Etouffee. The production and lyrical content paints a very bleak picture. However, the track carries this level of pride for his community and where he comes from and how he feels kind of like an alien within it all because of the situation he's found himself in because of his music and fame. It's clear to me that he hasn't forgotten his roots and still has quite a bit of love for them. And I have to talk about the chorus. This is probably the best chorus I've ever heard out of Vince, let alone one of the best choruses I've heard all year. It's anthemic, it's catchy, it's got a great flow. His singing is actually kind of impressive, to be honest. I also think it complements his sort of monotone delivery with his rapping very well. Another one I'd recommend checking out is Black and Blue. This one has a really nice high energy kind of driving beat that to me feels ripped straight out of like another generation of rap, but with a bit of a modern twist. This also features another great kind of sing-along anthemic chorus, and overall I just felt like it set the tone for the rest of the album really well. It's the first real track on the album and was a great intro for the rest of the project. The next one I want to talk about is Government Cheese, and mostly for the writing on this one. I found it to be really interesting how the choruses and the verses kind of directly juxtapose each other, where you're talking about really pretty awful things, but then the chorus is reminding you to not forget to smile. However, with this one, I kind of found the chorus to be a little almost facetious or sarcastic, almost like the world telling you not to forget to smile, but kind of hard to do when you have to acknowledge all the awful going on. Plus, I mean, the guy sampled himself. That's kind of awesome. And lastly, I want to talk about Lil Homies. This one is definitely a certified banger. Has a nice dancey beat as well as some pretty inspiring messaging behind it. And yet another great kind of sing-along chorus from Vince. Definitely worth a listen. Now, overall, I'm gonna give this guy an 8.5 out of 10. Great production, great writing. It's short and sweet, which I think is a benefit. It'll make you think, it'll make you dance, it'll make you sing, and overall I highly recommend giving this one a listen. But that's my opinion. I would love to hear what you guys thought, what I should listen to next, maybe some disagreements in the comments as well. I welcome it all. That's gonna be all for this one. Thank you for checking us out, and I will see you guys next time. How's it going? Oh, let's the clap. Bad. There it is. I just blew